Welcome to Stoned Stories with me, Paige. How are you? Whether you need an escape or just a moment to unwind, you're in the right place. Everyone loves a story, and everyone needs a break. So sit back and let me take you on a gemological journey. And while we're at it, let's get stoned. What if I told you that one of the world's most famous diamonds may have carried more than beauty through history? A stone born beside empires, handled by industrialists, stolen at gunpoint, hidden inside a leather coat and worn by Hollywood royalty, and eventually renamed after one of the most recognizable women on Earth. Like the Hope Diamond from another story, today's diamond traces its origins back to the legendary Golconda region of India, a place so deeply tied to the history of diamonds that for centuries, nearly every famous stone on Earth seemed to emerge from its rivers and mines. And somewhere in that ancient geological darkness, it's possible these two diamonds formed side by side, long before names, before crowns, before museums and human beings ever learned how to cut light into stone. But unlike many historical gems, the early story of the Krupp Diamond is strangely incomplete. We do not know the exact mine it came from. We do not know the origin of the rough crystal. We do not know who first carried it from the earth into human hands. But its traceable history begins much later, when it surfaces in Europe. And maybe that uncertainty matters, because some diamonds arrive in history with documentation. Others arrive with atmosphere. The Krupp Diamond feels like the second. At 33.19 carats, the stone is enormous. Not merely large for jewelry, large for reality. We're talking a strawberry-sized diamond. And most diamonds above 10 carats are already considered extraordinarily rare. So cross 30, a stone enters another category entirely. Museum grade, auction house grade, the kind of diamond people do not simply wear, they orbit around it. And this one possessed something even rarer than size: color. A pale, blue-white body color, caused by trace amounts of boron deep within the crystal structure itself. An accident of chemistry so unlikely that natural blue diamonds represent only a tiny fraction of all diamonds ever mined. But what made the Krupp Diamond remarkable was not only the faint icy blue, it was the balance. Too much color in a diamond loses the sharp, cold brilliance associated with purity. Too little, and the personality disappears entirely. The Krupp Diamond seemed to exist between worlds, a stone carrying both frost and fire at once. And then there was the clarity. Jewelers compared the stone to something almost impossible, a potentially internally flawless diamond, meaning that if it were recut, if someone dared reshape it further, it might reveal near-perfect internal purity. But that raises a very dangerous question. Who wants to gamble with perfection? Especially when history already knew what pressure diamond cutting could demand from a human being. Because the cut itself tells part of the story. The Krupp Diamond is believed to have been fashioned before 1920 in what gemologists recognize as the Asscher-cut, a square step cut with clipped corners, deep symmetry, and a hall of mirrors effect that seems less like sparkle and more like endless architecture inside the light. The Asscher-cut was developed in 1902 by Joseph Asscher in Amsterdam, but it truly exploded in popularity during the Art Deco era of the 1920s, when geometry, symmetry, and precision became obsessions of the modern luxury. 58 facets, sharp edges softened at the corners, light descending inward like reflections inside an infinite corridor. That Joseph Asscher himself already carried legendary status, because years earlier, his family company had been entrusted with cutting one of the largest rough diamonds ever discovered, the Cullinan diamond, a 3,106 carat crystal so massive it really seemed unreal. That's like holding a diamond the size of a small kumquat. The story goes that Asscher spent weeks preparing for the first cut. studying the internal structure, searching for weakness lines, calculating pressure. Then finally, in 1908, he placed the blade against the diamond and struck. The steel shattered, not the diamond. Only after preparing a second blade did he finally split the stone successfully. And according to legend, the sheer pressure of that moment caused him to faint. Whether every detail is perfectly true almost doesn't matter anymore, because the story survived for the same reason all diamond stories survive. People instinctively understand that cutting something ancient and valuable feels sacred. One mistake, one fracture, one wrong angle, and millions of years are lost forever. Maybe that is why the Krupp diamond remains as it is, large, balanced, and untouched by unnecessary risk. But diamonds do not remain geological objects for long, and eventually they enter human lives. That is where this diamond becomes complicated. The diamond entered recorded history through Alfried Krupp, a German industrialist and heir to one of the most powerful arms manufacturing dynasties in Europe. During the Second World War, the Krupp Company became deeply tied to the Nazi war machine. Weapons production, military industry, forced labor. After the war, Alfried Krupp was tried and convicted for crimes connected to the Nazi regime. He received a prison sentence, yet served only a few years before being released in 1951. And it was after returning to Germany that he married a young actress named Vera Krupp. The marriage lasted only from 1952 to 1957. But during that short union, Alfred reportedly gave Vera the diamond that would forever carry his name, the Krupp Diamond. And suddenly the stone inherited something difficult. Not a curse exactly, but association. Because gemstones absorb human stories whether they want to or not. And Vera became inseparable from the diamond. She wore it constantly, at parties, at appearances, in public photographs. It was not locked away like a museum relic. It lived with her. And by the late 1950s, Vera Krupp had become a visible symbol of wealth, glamour, and post-war fascination with European aristocratic luxury. But beneath that glamour lingered discomfort. The Krupp name carried shadows, and the diamond glittered inside them. Still, Vera loved the stone openly, until the night it was stolen directly from her hand. On April 10, 1959, 3 men posing as workers forced their way into Vera's ranch outside Las Vegas. Armed with a revolver, they bound Vera and her ranch hand with a lamp wire. Then they removed the diamond from its setting and took $700,000 in cash alongside it. Imagine that for a second. A diamond born under unimaginable geological pressure, now sitting in the pocket of a thief. A stone once associated with royalty and industrial dynasties, reduced to evidence in a violent robbery. But what makes the story stranger is how carefully planned the crime was. The thieves had reportedly watched Vera for weeks, studying schedules, security, habits, because diamonds of this size create gravity around themselves. People rearrange their lives around them, protect them, desire them, risk prison for them. And yet the Krupp diamond posed a unique problem for the thieves. It was too recognizable. Most stolen gems can be broken apart, recut, or quietly sold. But this diamond was globally known. Its size, its cut, its color, its proportions. Any serious jeweler would recognize it instantly. The FBI tracked suspects across 8 states in less than 6 weeks. Eventually, authorities found the diamond sewn into the inside lining of a leather coat, close to the chest. In 1959, this theft of the 33-carat Krupp diamond was considered one of the most high-profile and dramatic jewelry robberies of its era. The heist gained notoriety back then due to the massive size of the diamond. In 1959, it was worth $275,000, which today compares roughly to $3.1 million. Nonetheless, the violent nature of the robbery added to its nationwide phenomenon. And let's circle back to how the diamond was found sewn into the pocket of a leather jacket, like we said, close to the heart. As though even the thief understood instinctively that certain objects demand physical closeness. The diamond was recovered, experts confirmed it was genuine, and once again the stone returned to Vera, after years of sitting in evidence. Reset into its original ring mounting by legendary jeweler Harry Winston, and after that, Vera reportedly became almost obsessive about protecting it. Some stories claim she pinned the ring inside her clothing while horseback riding, so it could never slip away unnoticed. Others say she went even further, becoming deputized by the local sheriff herself. That's my favorite theory. The girl went out, she said, "Give me a weapon, deputize me, I'm taking care of myself and my diamond." But another famous story says she even constructed a hidden passage beneath her home, leading to a secured room for valuables, a secret chamber for a diamond already carrying too much history. But even that could not preserve Vera forever. In 1967, she died, still in possession of the stone. And then once again, the diamond changed hands, this time through auction. Now the story moves to New York City, May 16, 1968, and suddenly the Krupp Diamond enters an entirely different universe, Hollywood. At auction, Harry Winston himself competed against actor Richard Burton. Just as a reminder, Harry Winston was a legendary American jeweler who set the Krupp Diamond originally. He was known as the King of Diamonds, renowned for acquiring famous gems and pioneering modern, flexible platinum settings, while Richard Burton was a celebrated Welsh actor, famous for his Shakespearean roles, tumultuous Hollywood career, and his well-known marriage. Burton won the bidding war, purchasing the diamond for a record-breaking $307,000, then gifting it to his wife aboard their yacht on the River Thames. That wife was Elizabeth Taylor. And with that transfer, the Krupp Diamond transformed again. Not scientifically, not physically, culturally. Because Elizabeth Taylor did not merely own jewelry, she mythologized it. By the late 1960s, Taylor stood at the center of global celebrity culture. An Academy Award-winning actress with striking violet eyes, immense beauty, enormous public visibility, and a relationship with Richard Burton so passionate and chaotic that the press treated it like ongoing theater. Together, Burton and Taylor represented excess, romance, scandal, luxury, old Hollywood melting into modern celebrity obsession. And the Krupp Diamond became part of that image. Taylor wore the ring constantly, in photographs, at events, even in films. Elizabeth Taylor famously wore the diamond in the 1968 film Boone. While the Krupp ring was her daily ring, the diamond was also featured in a 1970 episode of Here's Lucy titled Lucy Meets the Burtons. Also, the ring happened to be the focal point of Elizabeth Taylor's animated appearance in The Simpsons. Eventually, the diamond became so associated with her that people stopped calling it the Krupp Diamond altogether. It simply became the Elizabeth Taylor Diamond, which is fascinating because stones outlive names constantly. Owners vanish, empires collapse, but occasionally one human personality burns so brightly that it permanently rewrites the identity of the gem itself. And Elizabeth Taylor may have done exactly that. And this is where I start to ask myself, do diamonds carry the energy that we people put out around it, or do people absorb the energy of the stone? Was this diamond cursed from the people who held it before? In the war, the thief, the FBI investigation, does the diamond carry that energy? And was Elizabeth Taylor just so philanthropic that she was able to reframe it? Or is all of the energy in the stone just projected onto it by our own need for a good story? Yet even her story with Richard Burton carried instability. They divorced, remarried, divorced again. The diamond remained through all of it, a witness. And perhaps that is what makes famous gemstones feel eerie sometimes. Not because they are cursed, not because they survive every emotional storm surrounding them. They watch human lives unfold from the outside. Love and greed, violence and power, loss. The stone remains. Taylor kept the diamond until her death in 2011. Afterward, her estate auctioned the piece to support charitable causes and medical research through her foundation. At that sale, the diamond achieved yet another transformation. The Krupp Diamond officially became the Elizabeth Taylor Diamond, And when it sold for more than $8.8 million, it helped set records for private jewelry auctions worldwide. But after all of this, the strangest thing about the diamond may not be its value. It may be the question that it leaves behind. Because gemstones collect stories the way old buildings collect echoes. The stone passed from a man tied to war, to a glamorous socialite robbed at gunpoint, to one of the most famous actresses on earth. And through every chapter, people projected meaning onto it. Luck, status, fear, desire, power, karma. So it raises an uncomfortable possibility. Can objects inherit emotional weight from the lives surrounding them? Does a diamond remember anything? Or are human beings simply unable to stop writing ourselves into the things we find beautiful? Maybe the stone was never cursed. Maybe it was simply visible enough to reflect the chaos already present in people who possessed it. Because diamonds do not create obsession. They reveal it. And perhaps that is why stories like this endure. Not because of the carats, not because of the auction prices, not even because of the celebrity attached to the ring, but because deep down, people still sense something unsettling about diamonds themselves. These crystals formed in darkness, under impossible pressure, older than memory, then carried upward into human hands, where we assign them meaning far beyond geology. Love, marriage, power, immortality, as though we hope something ancient and unbreakable might stabilize lives that are neither. And maybe that is the real story of the Krupp Diamond. Not a cursed stone, not a perfect stone, not even a celebrity stone, but a mirror. One that reflects every era it passed through. War, wealth, crime, Hollywood, fame, grief, legacy, and through it all, the diamond simply continued surviving. A diamond does not know it was born by Elizabeth Taylor. It doesn't know it once sat hidden inside a thief's coat. It doesn't know it was witness to wealth, violence, obsession, fame, or grief. But we know. And maybe that's enough. Because the real power of famous objects is not what they remember about us, but what they force us to remember about ourselves. That human beings have always searched for permanence in an impermanent world. That we carve meaning into stone. We attach memory to objects. We hope beauty can somehow outlast fear. That something ancient and unbreakable might hold still while our lives do not. And maybe that's why stories like this endure. Not because of diamonds, but because every generation keeps seeing its own reflection inside them. A thought to leave you with. How many objects around us are carrying invisible histories we never stop to imagine? And how often do we mistake the value of a thing for the human stories trapped inside of it? Well, that concludes today's stone story. Thanks for listening, and see you next week. Next episode is sure to be a gem.